Hi guys, today we are learning how to read and use climate graphs and trying to determine what information we can gather from climate graphs. Now remember, climate deals with two things, the air temperature, and then also it deals with the precipitation, the H2O that falls from the sky, whether that's snow, rain, sleet, hail, precipitation. So we have these two graphs on our presentation, and you can see the two things that make up climate, the precipitation and the temperature. We are going to learn how to read a climate graph and what the different axes mean, and what these numbers mean, and what information we can gather from that. So the two things that are always on a climate graph, temperature and rainfall. The first step in identifying or looking at your climate graph is identifying the different elements of a graph. This is very important. The very first thing that you should identify or notice of any graph, of any map, is the title. And that is because the title tells you what you are looking at. What information can you gather from that graph or from that map? So it's really important that the first thing that you do is look at the title. And on this graph, our title is the climate graph of São Paulo, Brazil. So we know that it's a climate graph, and we know that the location is São Paulo, Brazil. That's what we know. The next thing that we need to look at is looking at the different axes and determining what information we can gather from that. So the first one, it says a scale with a unit of measurement of degrees Fahrenheit, and that degree should be there, is the line graph. So you'll see the scale over here, and it goes from -10 all the way up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It says that that is for the line graph. So we see the line graph is in orange here. And that's our temperature. And we know this because the line graph goes with this axis. The scale for the unit of measurement in inches or millimeters, so that over here it's in inches, we know that that axis is for our bar graph. So basically it is two graphs put into one, and you'll just look at one or the other axis to determine the information. So the temperature is always the line graph, and the precipitation is always the bar graph. Now here's the thing that's a little tricky. You won't always look to the left axis to determine the temperature. They might try to flip these and have the inches here and the Fahrenheit, the temperature over here. You just need to be very careful when you're looking at that. The only thing that you need to know is that the line goes with the temperature, so you're looking for the Fahrenheit or the Celsius, and the bar graph goes with the inches or the millimeters. At the very bottom, you will see the months. So here it says January, February, March, April, May, and it goes throughout the whole year's months. Now remember, this is climate, so this is the average weather over many, many, many years. So on average, in the month of January, this is what it is. On average, in February, for the past 10 years, for February, this is what it is. But at the bottom, they have the months. You might see it with January, February, March, April, May. You might see it with the abbreviations that you see down here. Or you might see it using the numbers. So you might say January 1, February 2, April 4, May 3, what have you. The second step is to study the line graph, and we know that this is the temperature. So we're looking for changes in the temperature throughout the year. So the first question that you should always ask yourself is, when is it the hottest? What month is it the hottest? So we look here and we see that the hottest month is probably February. So then, okay, the hottest month is February, and then we need to then look, well, what is the temperature? So the temperature is about 71, 72 degrees Fahrenheit in February. So we know that that is the hottest month. What is the coldest month? So looking at our graph, I'll give you just a little bit of a minute to look at that. Remember, we're looking at this line graph. What month is it the coldest? If you said July, you are correct. And the way we know this is because the dot is at the lowest point of the line graph. So we know that in July, it is the coldest. But what is the temperature? So we want to go over. And I'd say about 59 degrees Fahrenheit. So you have the hottest at 70 degrees Fahrenheit and the coldest at 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Now my next question to you is, okay, their hottest month is February, their coldest month is July. Think about us. Think about the United States. When is our hottest month? Our hottest month is usually July. Our coldest month is usually January, our winter months. And we live in the northern hemisphere. So knowing that about us, that our coldest month is January and our warmest month is July, but São Paulo, their coldest month is July and their hottest month is January. So we know that it then must be the opposite. They must live in the opposite hemisphere than we do, because their seasons are flipped. And we know whatever season it is in the northern hemisphere, it is the exact opposite in the southern hemisphere. And that's just an assumption that we can make using our line graph. Another thing that we can look at is there a big dip or hill in the line graph? Or does it kind of stay around like a flat line? This one stays around a flat line. Yes, there's a little bit of a dip, but it is not like a big, big dip or a big, big hill. It just kind of is semi-flat. Okay? The next thing is you study the bar graph. Now remember, we're not going to this axis for the bar graph. We are looking at the inches. Very similar. You want to find, well, what season is the driest? Or what month, excuse me, is the driest? Which month gets the least amount of rainfall? We see that it's July. And they have about 1 inch of rain in that month. And then their wettest is January with about 9 inches. So we can look at that and see, well, okay, their driest is in July, their wettest is in January. But we also can see, well, if we look at July, and we look that July is actually the coldest and the least amount of rainfall, but then January, February is the warmest and the most rainfall. Another thing that I forgot to mention is all of this H2O that's falling from the sky, we know must be rain. Because what is the coldest temperature that São Paulo reaches in a year? You're right, 59. And we know that the freezing point of water in degrees Fahrenheit is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So we know in São Paulo it doesn't snow. We can see that because it doesn't get cold enough. So all of that precipitation that's falling from the sky must come down as rain. The last step is taking all of the things that we just combined and looked at and discussed and put that all together. Well, we know that São Paulo must be in the southern hemisphere, that they must live near the equator because there's not a huge dip in the the line graph for temperature, we know that it doesn't snow there based off of our climate graph. And that's how you read a climate graph.